tell you what though, this does not look like 10 kilograms worth of kit. As you can see, I'm carrying the Peak Design Everyday Backpack. It looks slim. It packs a whole bunch of gear in it that you'd never realize, or none of the airport staff would realize. You can easily carry this through the airport as hand luggage and no one would blink an eye. Unless you fly budget and they weigh everyone's hand luggage anyway. So without further ado, I am going to show you what is in my bag. So heavy. Actually, I'd probably need to work out because this is actually not too bad, 10 kilograms. But anyway, I digress. Let me get into what is in my camera bag. First of all, I have the Canon EOS R. It is the Canon's latest and greatest mirrorless camera, and I am so happy that they have stepped up on their game when it comes to mirrorless, because at the moment Sony is pretty much on top there when it comes to that. So the best thing about this, spec-wise, it is pretty much the same as the Canon 5D Mark IV, which is what I'm filming on at the back, except that it's got C-Log, which is a flat profile used for video editing, and it's far better to shoot on flat so that you can have more ability to color grade. But what I actually like more about this is the flip out screen, which is perfect for vlogging. So as you can see here, I can just vlog like so, and I can see exactly what I'm filming, and that is probably one of the best features coming out from the body. The other thing I have is the RF lens 15-35 f2.8. This lens is a beast. It belongs on this body 95% of the time. It is used primarily for all my landscape shots, seascape shots, as well as for vlogging and for video. It is image stabilization, and it is super sharp and quick, and I cannot highly recommend it enough because it is well worth the investment. Because one thing is for sure, lenses won't change that much, but the body will. Highly recommend the investment. Next up is the RF 70-200 f2.8 lens, which is like a shorter sibling of the EF 70-200. Just looks like it's been squished up. Doesn't it look pretty cute? It also extends out like so, which means that fully extended, it is actually the same length as the EF version of the 2.8. In the same way, it is also super sharp, super quick to focus, and it is such an amazing lens. I cannot highly recommend this enough as well. So, moving on to the top part of my bag. If I can zip this up properly. It has the NISI filters. This bag contains everything that I use to take landscape photos and seascape photos on long exposure. So here is the circular polarizer filter used to take out any glare, and that belongs on top and screws on top of the lens like so, like that. And following that, I've got the V5 holder, which also belongs on top of the lens, followed by the soft grad filter, which is a piece of glass like that. You got to be very careful and take this out, and it just slips into the V5 holder like so. I have also got the ND4 filter, which is used for longer exposure if you want to really make it even more darker so you can take longer exposure. And also the natural night filter by NISI as well, used for balancing out night photos. In terms of whether I recommend it, I'd probably say no, because you can easily do this in post by changing the white balance. So I don't know if it's worth 200 bucks or so just for white balancing. And I've also got some step-up rings. So I won't talk too much about these because that probably should be in another video. Otherwise I'll be here forever talking about all kinds of gear. Next up, I have the DJI Mavic Pro 2 drone. It is probably the market leader when it comes to drones, and this I have been so impressed by when it comes to its ability to handle all forms of adversity. So when it comes to rain, strong winds, snow, sleet, it is able to handle. It is such a beast. Not to mention its gimbal with the Hasselblad lens on it. It has a huge dynamic range, and the photos that you take on it is absolutely incredible. It is such a beast. It's probably like a mini Phantom 4 Pro, but just much more tinier and also much more versatile. And here is the remote for the drone, and you might be wondering, where is my antenna? That's because I also have the ALIENTECH signal booster, dual frequency. And why do I need this? I got this from Hong Kong, and the reason being is because places like Hong Kong and built up areas has a lot of interference, and the way to get around it is to buy a signal booster. And what I do is I remove the caps of the lid, and I just attach the signal booster like so. And so long as I'm pointing this signal booster towards the drone, I'm able to fly this drone with minimal interference of Wi-Fi, radio signals, all sorts of things in built up areas like in Hong Kong. Or I can travel as far as 8 kilometers. Think about it, it's almost like Bondi to city of Sydney. Not that I would do it, but it has such a huge range, and it is incredible and well worth it if you are flying in built up areas. So if I turn it around and I show you the compartments, these all slip in really nicely, and these are all adjustables to what you need according to your purpose. And it's just amazing. What I just showed you just now, so much came out of it already. And that is just half of it. I've also got the other side of that. Again, same thing, it's just like a little, another pocket. And when I open up this, I have the POLARPRO ND filters for the drone. And when you're flying in golden hour or even in the middle of the day, these are essential in making sure that you get the most balanced shot that's not overblown when it comes to drone photography. And also I have got the intervalometer and wireless remote trigger used for taking long exposure shots without having to hold on to the shutter, which might make camera shake. So something I also recommend if you're doing time lapses and also long exposure photography without having the need to push for a 2-second timer or a 10-second timer. So getting on to the top of the bag right here, has all kinds of various bits and pieces in there. The blower to make sure that your lenses are clean. The lens cleaner to make sure that it is disinfected. Also cloths, just to make sure that I wipe it without using a t-shirt. And another cloth. Also, I have the variable ND filter by NISI. Why did I get the variable ND for NISI and not the Hoya, which is the market leader? Simply because one, it is way cheaper, and number two, it's got that little holder which makes it really easy to adjust the variable ND so that I can take better videos in the middle of the day. And as you know, with video, you kind of have to make sure that you should double the frame rate, and you don't want to lose the quality of the footage in the middle of the day in doing so. So what else do I have in here? I have the hard drives. I have the Samsung SSD 1TB, which is used to hold all my Lightroom photos and raw photos and catalog. This Western Digital hard drive, which is a lot bigger, is used mainly for my video. Again, this is a lot more expensive, but it's much more versatile, and you can carry this around everywhere you go. This one might not necessarily stay in my bag, but is really good for storage, much cheaper, and this is where all my videos are stored. And also in here, I have the L bracket. What is an L bracket? The L bracket is used on top of a tripod so that you don't have to always switch the tripod between portrait and landscape by switching at 90 degrees. All you need to do is unscrew the tripod holder and then put my camera around and screw it back on without having to adjust the tripod. At first, I thought I don't really need it because what's the point of spending 90 bucks on this? Believe me, once you get it, you will not turn back, and this is on my camera body 90% of the time. Like literally, actually not even 90% of the time, all the time. So next thing is the OSMO Action. Why did I decide to get OSMO action by DJI and not the GoPro Hero 7 or 8, simply because it is cheaper. Number two, it has got that back screen, which I think now the GoPro has now, but when it comes to this, it's far cheaper, and I don't use it all that much, just backup B-roll and times when I need to go in the water, or taking time lapses on the side, and also taking some just stranger, more obscure camera angles. And this will definitely come in handy, and it also means I don't really need the 5D Mark IV anymore, and it means that I can sell it on, because this is literally enough as a backup camera. And if all else fails, the iPhone 11 Pro serves its purpose, because these days the mobile phone cameras are incredible when it comes to video, when it comes to photography as well. So remember, these phones can take 4K, so something I recommend. And last but not least, I have the MacBook Pro 15-inch, which sits snugly on the side of my bag, safely where it's most secure. This is the last generation of the 15-inch MacBook Pro before the 16-inch came out, and I upgraded from a 13-inch MacBook Pro that I've had for about 5 years because it's not able to take video very well. So in this computer, it is a beast. It's got the upgraded graphics card, and I use it for all my editing for video and also for photos. On top of that, I also have this thing, which is used to plug into the side of the MacBook, because it only has USB-Cs in the latest MacBooks, and you might have USB ports and SD card slots and all sorts of things. This is essential to carry, otherwise you won't be able to offload your photos from the SD card to back it up. So that is what's in my camera bag. I have also other lenses and other kits, like the 5D Mark IV, which is sitting right on the back of this camera, and also have the Rode VideoMic Pro, which is what I used as my microphone. I didn't really get the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus because I felt I don't really need it, and I can always turn it on and off whenever I need to anyway, so it's no big deal. I also have a few other EF lenses, which I'll quickly show you, which is the 24-105 trusty f4 lens, which is the classic. It's been out for years and years, and it's something that for traveling, it is the ultimate kit lens. And this is a really old lens, but it has served me well when it comes to traveling and you only had one lens to carry and you don't want to carry all this stuff with you. This would be the one, because it is incredibly versatile at 24-105. Also, finally, I have another lens with me, which is a very old 70-300 f4 to 5.6 lens, which, as you can see, it's quite old, but it is incredible for taking supermoons and things like that. And it is old, but it is solid as a beast, and something that if you don't want to spend the money on an expensive zoom camera that goes beyond 70-200, or you just don't want to buy a 70-200 and want some alternative, this is also something I recommend. So that concludes my video. I hope that this has given you an idea as to what is in my camera bag. And as you can see, this Peak Design bag, which I showed you before, has so many different compartments, but packs a punch. It has so much stuff in it, and it's incredible what it can pack in 10 kilograms. And on the outside, it just does not look like 10 kilograms at all. So if you like this video, why don't you make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe, and also put a comment in there if you have any questions on any of the kit. So when all that's said and done, I will catch you in the next one.